All right, first thing on the list is, the LTWTV scholarship application. We got 3 of them, they all seem pretty good applications.
Amazing.
Yeah. Amazing.
They're all good, solid students.
Yeah, yeah. Make motion that, accept them. Yep.
Is it still what it's always been, the 5?
Yeah.
5,000?
Yeah.
Well, good.
All right, second it?
Second?
All in favor? Good. Senior luncheon tomorrow. And the town office is open this Saturday, from 8 AM to 12 PM because of the holiday next weekend after. Chad, you got anything?
No, I can't think of it right now.
Nobody's swimming down the beach.
No.
Bruce? Yes. Nope. Ed?
No, I don't think you can.
Ken? Yeah. Don?
We're good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you guys have been working things out.
Right.
Yeah.
You dropped in when I asked to be here yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
You decided you wanted to come in today.
Yeah.
You've made a whole lot of progress.
Good.
We're just gonna kind of feel our way along in terms of what I can do to help him.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are the, new building permits coming up? It's just pretty petered out,
It's really slowing down. Right at the moment. I know a couple of years ago, I think for 2 years ago, we were all out of growth permits by the first week in August. Probably got it over.
Oh, really?
It's go back, I think the 17th of July.
it's been like a 3-year trend, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got, I think at least 5. We've got more than we need.
Yeah.
Who knows? Everything costs and what it does. I think people are kind of holding back.
Yeah.
The cost of building a house.
I know the banks are impossible to work with, just like
Right.
talking about, well, Charlie and Joe, they're still fighting banks. Hoping to get closed before, they can't get a foundation in, but our system makes it hard for sure.
It makes it hard. There are a lot of people calling and emailing different questions, and people honestly go files. I know I should probably say maybe people who don't know. On Thursday, we're finally going into court against American. Hopefully that'll be a good outcome.
Yeah.
And you get occasional things about people wanting to cut down trees and things. As it might lose a branch, it might hit their roof in 5 or 10 years. Just never know.
Well, at least they're asking you about it rather than just doing it.
Well, that's true. Well, some will say I've already cut down to 5, but we need 10 more. They're less likely to get approval.
That's next to the pond or?
Right, and up in the northeast, northwest pond, northeast pond, I guess. Most of that's over either Sebago or Hiram.
Hiram, yeah.
But there's a guy over there that wants to cut quite a few. He's got the environmental protection guy. He's coming to this December.
Okay, yeah.
I did come to him.
Right. Yeah.
I had one guy on San Juan. He wanted to cut down. He wanted to go. What do you like about it? He said, it's so nice. You look across the lake. There's all those places. So after I leave here, I'm going over there. He wants to cut down all of his too. You can't let him do that. I don't want him to do that. I said, I have a feeling he it's interesting. People think that.
Neighbors. Yeah. Robin, you got anything?
I received a call from Doug Smith, he's from, the Friends of the Mountain Division Trail. And he just wants to give us an update. They're moving forward in Hiram, round two of the trail for a few miles, I guess. He's gonna send us an email, and I added him to the December 2nd meeting agenda. He wants to do like a 15-20 minute presentation and Q&A type thing, so
Okay.
it'll come in then. And then, I had a call from a gentleman that wanted to remain anonymous, and he wanted to speak with one of you perhaps about, the situation on Douglas Hill Road where, Edwin Libby's house at 113 Douglas Hill Road, the situation with the boat living there and the campers, and, he wants the town to do something about it. He will not call the sheriff's department because, he would be fearful for his life, he said, if he were to call the sheriff's department, so, he wants to speak to a selectman. And he gave me his number, but would not give me, so, I have that, if one of you would like to reach out to him.
Information I had on that was that the bank had gone through the court process and was going to have it rejected.
Yeah.
And for some reason that didn't happen apparently, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I don't have that whole report. But I do know that they had got that approved through the court process, which took them quite a little while. But I guess if you get the right lawyer or something, you can postpone something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a long process is what we saw.
Right.
We started on Pittsburgh Road and it was about a year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
What up in there was that's one going into the book, I think.
Yeah.
They didn't like that.
Yeah.
If we find a buyer first and let the buyer clean it up.
Well, it's hard because, as you know, they don't have any ownership in that property whatsoever.
Right.
Squatters.
We had a little discussion about that last night with, the reporter.
Oh boy, I could give you like 15 pages. Oh, we're gonna go through.
They have struggled with a similar situation.
They sure have.
Not good, it's not easy.
It's easier for the offending party,
Yeah.
or easier.
Anyway,
You know, maybe a few days before I go get to them, I'm gonna meet tomorrow after work with the guys handling my retirement. Only a few days before I go get to them.
I can call. Probably.
Okay.
Anything else, Robin?
No, not that I can think of off the top of my head. Thank you.
Bob?
Yeah, Jim Seymour and myself, Chris, and another engineer, today we're taking a walk to River Road
Oh, yeah.
this morning. They're gonna walk and come up with a proposal for their engineering design. It seems to have ideas of what that would solve some of the problems there.
Good.
The other one is that we got the email from the lady who runs the food pantry.
Yeah,
Read that?
yeah. South Philly just gave him $500 to help him out.
Did it?
Yeah. They're in, I guess, a really tough situation. They have to, there's no running water down there, and they have to rent a porta potty. That's $138 a month.
$131, they said in their letter.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll change, but she says that almost $2,000 to heat for the winter, and then $160 a month. I'm sure that's for the refrigerators. Electricity.
Yeah.
And then $131 for the porta potties. It comes up to about $5,700 a year. I'll give her a call and see. If we could hold a special town meeting, we could put this on as a warrant item to give them some money. Give money to a lot of nonprofit organizations. But I don't think we should give it all because she serves Baldwin, Ireland, Huntington, Border, Street, Falls, Wonder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so other towns.
maybe get up some of the other towns.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, where all the food pantries are and where they go left.
That was my first thought, it'd be a different sell to the town of Baldwin if they were Baldwin residents, but by their numbers, what'd you say, like 1,400 people?
Yeah.
If you count the kids and everything.
There's only 1,500 Baldwin.
Yeah, I know.
Not everything else.
So, a lot of it, and God love them, but, a lot of these, every town does it. And, a lot of people just surf them, So, I'd be encouraged to give it some money.
Yeah.
Cover, at least what Baldwin might use.
Yeah.
They got a substantial amount from the church and the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how long term they're able to stay there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
She doesn't mention that in her letter.
Yeah.
And the work that was finally done, the foundations up there, they refused to get permits for. And I sort of inspected it from the road because I know the guy that was doing the concrete work to make sure it was right, just in case. So they won't have to do it all over again. I didn't want to put something in that spot. But for the record, there's no permits and no official inspections on it. They're under a whole bunch of stress because I have quite figure some of their properties were put up for sale.
Really?
I'd be surprised if the food pantry's there for a whole long time.
So maybe, from the emails today, maybe, it seems like maybe there will be another impending town meeting coming up, so.
Yeah.
Combine them.
Combine them too, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll get in touch with her and tell her to put them on the next town meeting.
That's what we can do.
Yeah. How many freezers do they have?
We've got at least 4 of them.
4.
The trouble with that building that they're in, the old parish hall,
Yeah.
that was posts that were set on stumps, and there's no foundation under it.
Oh.
There was a row of stones there that they kind of kicked in and fallen over a lot, and the
Yeah.
wind goes right under it. And somebody spanked it with dirt around last winter, but it's about impossible to heat. There's no insulation. It's not a really good solution. And no way are they able to meet the code requirements to have it. People in the state level want to do something. They need to have washrooms, they repackage food. You have to bring in water if you want to off down the flavors.
Yeah, I imagine it'd have to be hot water too.
Right, they require that.
Yeah.
They don't have.
Yeah.
If it was just for Baldwin residents, the best solution would be for them to get together with the auxiliary and have something in the community center. There's a lot to be said for that if people wanted to do it, especially with the generator, if there was some kind of an emergency. There are facilities here where you can see people that maybe not necessarily work, but people that didn't have electricity or heat or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they have some common goals. I know the auxiliary raises money by selling things to help projects. But I'm not sure if the terrible loss of the food prices. They're just doing it with food. It's something to think about. I know they've been looking for a place, but it's hard to find a place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't have their act together to purchase some of the Baldwin drains, which would have been a good solution. But that was kind of too late.
Yeah.
But long term, where they are, I don't think it's going to work out.
Doesn't look that way. Right?
Remember,
Anything else, Bob?
Just about the boiler that we keep fighting down there. I think that last valve that, was it the one that controlled the release valve or whatever it was like a $1,200-$1,300 quote for that. I know we've used mechanical services. That seems like a lot of money to me. I'm looking at it, it's like a $300 valve. I don't know. It's just, I know a decent boiler guy. I don't know, we might want to start.
Try something out.
We'll just get an idea, say, hey, look, what would this cost me? Rather than, I know he said it's going to need new bearings now, right?
Yeah.
Robin, I was a little bit confused by your email, but I think what you meant was they replaced the motor that burned out, and then the one that we're using already has a bad bearing.
Right.
So we need a new motor
Okay.
for the primary or whatever.
Yeah.
I think the thing runs alternatively.
Back and forth.
Well, the bearings aren't in the motor that are bad, they're in the drive thing. He showed me, so you've got the motor.
Oh, okay.
And then you've got like a shaft in between
Okay.
that turns, and then it flips the drive shaft or whatever it is that propels the actual circulator. The whole thing is the circulator, but they particularly, you've got the motor that drives the circulator. That's the bearings that are bad in that.
Yeah.
That, I'm not a mechanical engineer, but.
It sounds like you are.
But I had him explain to me. Yes, and I had him show me, and it's all traceable. So if it gets particularly loud like it did before, you shut it off and it went to the other one, and that's what you do is you shut that one down. And then the other one will kick on.
So we're still waiting on a price to repair that, right?
Yes, and then they're going to do an estimate for replacing the system basically with different options or whatnot. So right now, I guess it's at a point where it's and then he said this gentleman that because each time is somewhat different. But the release valve, he said, is definitely bad, and that's why we get the water, on the floor. With the what's that? Is that a tank? What is that tank that's up there?
expansion tank.
Expansion tank thing. Yeah. So when the cold water hits that, the evaporation with the hot, it causes it to hit the release valve, and not good. But I did talk to him about also because one of the technicians recommended that we turn down the boiler temperature during the off season, which we haven't been doing. And so if it was the school and it was running, they would have a maintenance person here regularly, which they didn't have one back in the day, and would either turn it off, or turn it down. If you turn it down, then you can run into problems like we did where it's air that gets into the system, or it causes problems with the expansion tank anyway, but, at the very least, we should probably be turning it down often, so, it'll.
It'd be nice to just replace it so we don't build another option.
Right, but if we don't go that route, but, so right now it's set at 140, so it takes the shell off and it will warm, just have to turn the heat up a little bit more, but then he said when it's consistently in the 20s, 30s maybe during the day, 20s at night, then we'll want to get back to 180. And, they'll have to come out and do that, because I asked them because they originally said December, and we're not far from December, so I'm thinking another service call fee. But I said, should we just do that now? He said, well, it's not really that cold consistently yet.
It's kind of strange, because this morning over on the high office, I was kind of chilly, and somebody was in there and said, you can turn up the heat if you want to. Well, I did, but all of a sudden that thing revs up and makes all kinds of noise, and the heat comes up, the temperature goes up like 20 degrees.
Yeah. Well,
It's kind of hard to get it right.
Yeah, well, when the techs come in, they'll say, has anybody heard that? And I'm like, yeah, that's normal. You know, you just make sure you're not on the phone or trying to walk away from it if you can, because that's nothing compared to across the hall, because there's the belt is always wonky, so there's twice as loud on the other side. But it doesn't bother me, it's just kind of quirky.
Well, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's something like this, I'll go on to it, but I think it'd be wise to
Keep in mind, yeah.
You,
big ticket items to farm out at least, you know, especially if the whole furnace at least bid out.
Yeah, right.
you call the guy in.
Yeah.
Get an idea, yeah, he's doing it his whole life, right down there in Livingston, up Wildland Road.
Yeah.
Just so we know if we're getting it good or bad, you know, or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause I don't know, I mean, things are expensive. And sometimes somebody goes specialty like that, they'd like to, put it right to you, you know?
Yeah.
And Matt Sanborn had, when I talked to him a year ago about it, he had mentioned the idea of having two different systems almost, because the community center is used every day.
Right, yeah.
So maybe having like gas on that and doing something different instead of having one boiler that keeps the entire building from, you know, one end to the other. That might not be the most efficient approach. But,
Now, you mentioned to me, but you mentioned to you about grant.
yes, and Matt had mentioned, a grant to, the possibility of a grant to Sarah and Debbie. And he was in, and I mentioned it to the engineer, and he was going to see what he thought. He said it's mostly for schools. Matt seemed to think it was for both schools and municipalities, but this gentleman thought that it was mostly schools, but he was going to look into it for him.
Yeah.
Because Matt, unless we misunderstood, they have like a grant writer that would help us with that.
Yeah.
It would be huge.
Yeah.
If that's the case, because you have to know what to write on the grant. You know, it's a professional that spells out.
Yeah. Can't just say, I want this.
The block grant, what was that, was the block grant, or you went in and talked, and we didn't qualify, and all of a sudden it's done with.
We're just too rich involved in that. Can you believe it?
No. I hate to see towns that are worse off than we are, huh?
Well, you know, you look at the area that's saying, the whole thing is politicized, I think. This all started a number of years ago, kind of block grants, with HUD.
Yeah.
Saying, all right, each town can, you know, apply for these HUD grants. in Cumberland County decided, well, instead of us all fighting with each other, why don't we go in and, you know, do it as a group.
As a group, so
And so, what happened was, I had it explained to me was, Portland said, no thanks, I'm on my own. South Portland said, I'll go in with everybody, but you gotta give me a certain percentage. Cause I can go on my own if I want to, but I'll go with you, you know, to just make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bridgeton says, well, you know, I'm gonna go by the same rules too. So they, between Bridgeton and South Portland, they get a guaranteed chunk of whatever HUD provides, you know. And, all the other communities in Cumberland County kind of divvy up. And what you can ask for depends on your, I think it's like 47% of the mean average income for the county. And we're just too rich here in Baldwin. We're outside of money. I don't know, when it comes right down to it, we've got special money that goes for building stuff, repairing things, whatnot. And then, you know, that can be, I don't know, a good chunk of money. And then when it comes down to it, the little bit that we can compete for is like $130,000 amongst all the communities. And you have to, there's this one big stack of paper to fill out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking, my God, I spent all afternoon looking at it again to see if it would work for the food pantry, but the fact that they serve so many people in another county, I'm not sure would be favorable. So, anyway.
All right. You're good. You're good. I'm on all good. It wants to be adjourned.